Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a video here today from P's World titled "The 4B Movement Failed Before It Even Started." It is kind of fascinating to watch these women try and take back their so-called power by practicing abstinence and thinking that the men they ignored suddenly give a damn about who they sleep with. Today's video was suggested to me by Matrix of Madness. I'm going to leave both of their channels linked in the pinned comments, so make sure you go and subscribe to these guys. Don't forget to leave your own thoughts and comments, and let's jump right into the video.
I am 100% on board with the 4B movement for the women on the left. Cut that hair. Tie them tubes. Stop reproducing. The last thing we need is more of your little green-haired gremlins running around shitting in litter boxes. And if you stop reproducing, it's only going to be the children of Republicans that are going to be popping out. So cut that hair. Tie those tubes.
The 4B movement in America is just modern women shooting themselves in the foot. They think that this is the ultimate own against men, but when you think about it, they're already ignoring over 90% of the male population anyway, and wouldn't even dream of accidentally brushing up against them, let alone full-on sleeping with them.
Margot Robbie just had a baby boy. The internet is losing it. Not in a good way. So as it says here, Margot Robbie has welcomed her first child, a boy. This girl goes, "Girls, we lost." Lost what? What did we lose? They go on to say, "I can't believe she became a boy mom. Tragedy. Are you well? Are you well?" I'm not even gonna get into this comment right here. She says, "It's simply not fair that a male gets to grow and say his mother is Barbie." I would say she could try again for a girl, but I would never want to subject a little girl to having an older brother. Like, what is wrong with people? Not everyone should have an opinion online. That's it. There.
So these women are furious that Margot Robbie had a boy as if she had any control over the gender of her child before giving birth. That just gives a new meaning to the concept of science denial.
We spoke about this the other day. Twitter and TikTok are where the saddest, most antisocial, most degenerate people congregate, okay? And women are included in that. These women on these online platforms have no concept of reality. They are so engulfed in hatred. The idea that Margot Robbie has had a son is an L for them because now she has to love a boy who will turn into a man. And they obviously hate men. It's really sad when you think about it.
He has a really good point. Guys, the women on TikTok and Twitter are absolutely miserable. They are so unhappy that they're desperately trying to convince the entire damn planet that they are actually the most happy people on the face of the planet.
So I just broke up with my therapist. And I guess I'll tell you why. Basically, I went in there today. It was more like an emergency session, only because I really have been having trouble. Like, after this election, I really have been having trouble. And so anyway, she had emailed me the other day, and I told her, like, I wasn't doing well, so she made some time for me. She made an appointment for me, which I appreciate, and I told her that before I left. But, I went in today, and I asked her, I said, "I have a question for you, like, I just need you to be honest." And I said, "Did you vote for Trump?" And
it frankly isn't anyone's business who you vote for, and it really shouldn't have that much of an effect on your life, but some of these women are so devoid of any substance that they assume political affiliation somehow determines a person's worth as a human.
She made a face, and then she told me basically, yes, she did. And I asked her, I was like, "Can you explain that to me? Like, can you explain that decision to me?" And she was like, "I mean, for one, his policies." And I was like, "What policies?" And she was like, "Well, one thing, I don't like my groceries being so damn expensive, so freaking expensive," something like that. And I'm not gonna lie, that statement, that sentiment gave me great pause. And I didn't really have much to say for a couple seconds. And then I asked her, like, "So did you think about me? Like, when you went in that booth, like, did you think about me at all?"
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no. She wasn't thinking about you. She was too busy thinking about feeding herself and her family, which again is none of your business.
And she was like, "What do you mean? I don't understand your question." I said, "Your black female child of immigrants client, did you think about me when you went in the booth?" She said, "No, I don't think about you like that. Like, I come here and I listen to your problems. That's my job." And that said everything. That said everything for me. I'm not gonna lie. I considered staying for the session. I considered, you know, small talk or whatever, but I've overextended myself as a black woman for too long. Because the truth is that when I walked into that booth, I mean, metaphorically speaking, I filled out my absentee ballot. But when I filled out my absentee ballot and I voted for Kamala Harris, I voted for her rights.
What's crazy to me is how these women are cutting important people out of their lives over political leanings. That takes a special kind of ignorance.
I voted for her rights to the medical abortion she just had to have for incomplete miscarriage. I voted for her rights to that. And you're telling me that cheaper groceries was enough for you to overlook the hate, was enough for you to overlook the violence. It was enough for you to overlook everything that is going to affect my day-to-day life, your client's day-to-day life. And I understand how that could benefit her in some way, and I'm trying not to think about it that way because
She's trying so hard to not call her former therapist evil because she wants to be able to afford to feed her family, as if it's some kind of crime these days.
then that makes her a worse person than I could ever think. But I spent the last 2 years of my life with this person. I'm a senior in college. I was a sophomore in college when I first started seeing her. She knows things about me that most people do not know. And to know that you view yourself as my white savior, to know that you view me as less than you, to know, I mean, whether you meant to or not, that's exactly what it is.
Why am I absolutely not surprised to hear that she's a college student? It's kind of funny because quote-unquote higher education is not really education anymore, but that doesn't mean that these women won't act high and mighty because of a college degree.
You should have stayed for the session, okay? And not only should you have stayed for the session, you should call her back after this video. This video, I believe, got about 74,000 likes. Crazy. Now, maybe it's because of my history working with people with mental health issues. She's screaming to me that she has problems. Because there's no way you ask your therapist, did you vote for Trump? Who does that?
The type of people who do that are just looking for drama and an excuse to feel victimized. They're not willing to have any form of rational discussion. They just want to be right and recognized for their false sense of victimhood.
Who does that? You're not supposed to know about your therapist. That's number one. So her even telling you that is a bit weird. But then to ask her, did you think of me? What the? Do you not know she has multiple clients? Main character syndrome. Okay, the idea that you think that you would be on her mind is absolutely mental.
Main character syndrome is such a bizarre concept. She honestly thinks that she's on the mind of multiple people and then takes offense when people tell her that she's not the most important person on planet Earth. Multiply that by thousands, if not tens of thousands, of women.
So does anybody know how to find or hire a hitman or woman? Because we don't want to be sexist. So, but I think we could pull this off collectively.
Ooh, girl, you up with that video.
She went on a public forum and openly asked for a person who ends lives professionally, which is not only illegal, but also profoundly immoral, by the way. This is some absolutely sociopathic behavior.
Do you realize that that is a felony? We all know who you were referring to. We all know that just because you went and deleted your video, many of us were able to save it or save it from somebody else who already made a video. Your face is now out there for everybody to see. That's actually a really good way to get the cops, the FBI, the SWAT, everybody showing up at your house first thing in the morning. Like, are we actually okay?
These women have absolutely no idea that once you put something on the internet, it is on there forever. There are countless people who document this kind of idiocy, so even if you delete the video, it is never gone.
Are y'all not thinking logically here? I just am a...
Somebody actually called the police, the FBI, on her.
I'm calling to report 2 accounts on TikTok. One who is using incitive language of terrorism, the assassination of Donald Trump. And then I am calling to report another account who was sequestering online for a male or female assassin to commit a 3rd assassination attempt against Donald J. Trump.
This man has literally called it for what it is. These women will say that they are joking or that they were being facetious, but it doesn't matter. You can't go online and threaten people like that and assume that there will be no consequences.
And it got so bad that she ended up on Fox News.
Same street and it's dark out and you're a white male. You have to be white for this to count, okay? If you're a white male, even if you don't approach me, I will shoot you.
Quick question. So does anybody know how to find or hire a hitman or woman?
Now look, this is generational head loss, okay? The idea that a woman is going to say, if she sees a white man on the street, if she sees you, it's on sight. That's crazy. All because of an election.
And yet these women think that it's totally fair game to threaten men's lives, and she's openly talking about an act that's premeditated. The last time I checked, that is incredibly illegal in almost every single Western country, and yet she doesn't give a damn.
There are so many people out there who would rather live in fantasy world than live in their real life. That's what I'm getting out of this, because I've seen some people in the comments saying, no, people take politics seriously, yeah, like it makes sense why people are emotional. I understand that. But your life isn't over after this election. Like, tomorrow is probably going to be the same as yesterday for 99% of people. People acting like the world is over. People acting like, oh my goodness gracious, now if I see you, it's on. Like, come on. Go to sleep, get early night, wake up for work in the morning.
That's actually a pretty good description of what's happening right now. There are people who are getting straight up apocalyptic on social media over this, and yet they say it's the rest of the planet that is crazy.
My friend called me on the phone this morning. We usually talk on the phone in the mornings, and she's like, have you heard of this 4B movement? And I was like, no. And she goes, well, these liberal women are threatening to shave their heads and go abstinent. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have to go watch some videos, but you mean they're not going to give birth to any more crazy liberals for the next 4 years, and we've gone so left that now we're right, that they're actually going to practice abstinence, which is really good if you don't want to have to go have an abortion. That's really the way to do it, because here's my thing. If you don't, having a baby the decision to have a baby should be made before you get in the bedroom, and you shouldn't be having sex with someone that you don't want to have a baby with. And quite frankly, y'all, I hate to say it, this may get me some heat, but y'all aren't exactly the women that men are hound dogging after. Y'all aren't the type of women.
The women who are threatening men with the 4B movement are threatening men with no more bedroom fun. But if you take a look at the statistics, the men that they're trying to threaten aren't having any of that anyway. So it's an empty threat.
And your attitudes and the way you look and act, men are not coming after y'all's coochie. They're just not.
Another interesting point is that these women who are threatening men with celibacy is that they place way too much value on bedroom fun. And by doing so, they're just telling men that that's all they're good for in the first place.
So do them a favor, and please do go abstinent. That's how many less Democrats that are going to be born? And you're actually not going to be out harming babies? Y'all want to talk about how 50% of women voted for Trump and how our lives are centralized. This one girl, she said, your lives are centralized around men from the moment that you're born, and you want them to think you look good, and you want them to take care of you. You know, it is nice as a heterosexual woman to have someone that thinks you look good, that will open your door, that will pay for your dinner. But that doesn't mean you can't be independent. Hell, I'm a Marine.
I think it's interesting how these women who are threatening with not using makeup or wearing provocative clothing are the same women who claim that they don't do these things for men. They claim to be doing it for themselves.
And I own a firearms business. I do things that average women don't do every day, but I still like having like a real man in my life. So do us all a favor, because you know, most men aren't going to want to have sex with someone that's going to go and take out their child if they don't, you know, if they have an accident. So you're really doing everyone a favor. This isn't going the way that you think it is. It's simply not.
There's also the added point that most men couldn't care less about what these women do in their personal lives. Them talking about celibacy really isn't world-breaking for most self-respecting men anyway.
What this woman just described at the end there was balance. I'm a Marine. I have my own firearm business, but I also have a man. What? You can be successful as a woman and have a relationship? Huh. That's a concept that the feminists just haven't grasped.
That's because these women don't want to be independent, but they don't want to fall into the traditional lifestyle either. They just want men to give them money so that they can do absolutely nothing. That's why they try to play the oppression card.
Yeah. But look, this 4B movement is failing for a number of reasons already. These women don't realize or haven't realized yet. They keep doing this thing, men versus women. Men versus women. Oh, the men. You guys don't understand. You are the minority of women. This isn't a man versus women thing. 52% of women are against you. So you saying 4B, right? As a minority. And by the way, not all liberal women are doing 4B. So you're a minority within a minority acting like it's going to affect someone. It isn't.
As somebody who has been an sex worker / dancer for the past 7 years and has just now been able to like leave that industry to be doing the social media and just like talking in front of a camera, being myself and having the support of the girls, the gays, and the theys, and being on two completely opposite ends of the spectrum as far as like what I'm doing for work.
Notice how she can't stop talking about herself. She's gone through her whole work history and is bragging about her social media presence, but yet she's still acting like she cares about anyone who isn't herself.
I have seen how men behave, like truly at their core, raw and unfiltered, and it is fucking jarring. And before any of you are like, not my husband, not my boyfriend, girl, you might want to think twice about it.
She just said that she was a bedroom professional and she attaches the rowdiness of her clientele to the entire population of men. So it's easy for her to disregard any good man because she assumes all men are evil because of her profession.
About that. The point being, the way that they talk about women, because they'll come into the club and they'll tell you their whole fucking life story. Some of these guys, I'm like their therapist, right? They're venting to me about their lives and, you know, whatever. And these women in their lives that they are supposed to love, protect, and care for, the way that they speak about them, their wives, their girlfriends, their sisters, their daughters, their mothers, it is so sick and fucking twisted. It really is.
It's not a smart idea to open up to someone who's under no legal obligation to maintain confidentiality because they will weaponize that information to justify their irresponsible nature.
It's like
What's more sick and twisted? A man coming into a strip club, speaking about women disgustingly and just being a disgusting person, or a man coming into a strip club, being a disgusting person and then giving you money to pleasure him and you still do it. Even though you know he's a disgusting person, he's a piece of trash, he gives you money and you still pleasure him. Who's more disgusting? The person that's pleasuring a disgusting man or a disgusting man? That's a genuine question.
She will justify the hypocrisy by saying she needs the money because the world is too oppressive to her. She is incapable of listening to reason.
Things that I have heard and just the way that they have spoken about, you know, these women in their lives as if they're just like these objects and it's just like, you know, who gives a fuck? Meanwhile, you can tell that woman in their life thinks the world of this man. Like, it is just so jarring. So if any of you or anyone you know is still fucking on a man that is, 1, not as mad as you are about all of this, 2, not really doing shit, or 3, supporting all of this shit, wake up, babe. We're done. It's done. Pack it the fuck up. The coochie is closed. It's closed until fucking further notice. Like, we're
The only men who actually care about these issues are the very same men these women don't respect anyway, so she wouldn't dream about sleeping with him in the first place. This plan isn't going to work out the way that she thinks it
done.
will.
I have a very small circle of men in my life that are vetted. A lot of them I have known the entirety of my fucking life. A very small circle of men that are like vetted in my life that I'm like, okay, you're good, you passed the test. Very small circle. Other than that, I'm fucking scared, okay? I'm scared because I know how y'all fucking behave. I know how y'all behave when you think nobody's fucking watching, and it is really fucking sick. I'm sorry if that pisses you off. Unfollow me. I don't care. I literally do not.
What I find funny is how they honestly think the men who disagree with her are angry at her decision to practice celibacy and are actively following her. She thinks that blocking and unsubscribing are the ultimate insults.
When it comes to men, there's nobody's opinions who are valued less than sex workers. Your opinions are literally on the floor. There's nobody whose opinions I value less than yours. Because you work in an industry where you come across the worst men daily. And those men come from all different places. So your view on men is just going to be warped just based on your occupation. You're speaking about men as if you know men, when you are literally encountering like the 1% of men that will even deal with you. That's a small percentage of men that you're encountering, but you're basing your whole view of men based on that. When in reality, you are worse than those men because you pleasure those sick men. I don't know how you don't see.
They don't see it because they intentionally blind themselves to the truth. They refuse to understand that self-respecting men think for themselves and don't operate under the same hive-minded mentality.
I heard people were doing this and I was like, no, I hadn't seen it yet. For 2 days I've been hearing about the 4B movement, people shaving their heads, but I hadn't actually seen it yet. What the hell are you doing? Girls, nobody's coming after your rights. You still have just as many rights as you had the day you were born.
My question is, what is shaving your head exactly accomplishing anyway? How is that fighting back against the oppressors? All that's doing is making yourself look like a fool on the internet, and if I can be blunt, you honestly didn't really need any help in that particular department.
And now you're bald! I saw one girl with hair as long as mine. Shave it off. She only got like 500 views. And you're bald now! You did all of that! For 500 views. And you're bald now. This is like... So, the paparazzi and the industry drove Britney Spears to shave her head, okay? Now that I understand.
That's because this culture encourages mental illness as if it's some sort of twisted fashion accessory. Women are so stressed out, a lot of them have zero purpose, zero emotional control, so it's really no wonder why they are slowly descending into madness.
That I understand, because she was actually being drove crazy by her controllers, right? And then the paparazzi 24/7 up her ass. But you guys are doing this on shit that's not even real. It's not even real. And now you're bald.
That's just it. There is precious little on social media that's actually real in the first place. And yet these women turn around and insist that what they're seeing is a realistic depiction of everyday life, and it's driving them completely mad.
Okay, you guys, I'm not trying to be mean, and please don't take this the wrong way. But if you do, I really don't care. All the women, I want to ask you men something. And please be honest with me. All the women that's doing the 4B movement, shaving their head and wearing these blue bracelets, do they look like women that you would actually go for in the first place? Like, look at them. Would them be the women that you would actually approach? Like, keep it all the way 100. Like, they look like they were already celibate and it wasn't on purpose.
It really makes you wonder if these women honestly thought they'd get comments from men begging for forgiveness and promising to change. It is hard to imagine how they could think this immature behavior would actually work out the way that they had planned.
Like, them women look untouchable. And I don't mean that in a gangster way. I mean that as a 25 cats in their house and smell like piss. Like, do them women look like they are actually the women that y'all would literally go for? Like, y'all are literally doing this movement and you shaving your head for nothing. Because the men that I know wouldn't even look at you twice. Like, literally, they will jump over you to get to every other woman besides you. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, man, because I'm looking at these women like, do y'all even like me? Because half of y'all look like y'all playing for the other side, but hey, that's just on me. Like,
and the irony here is these women are trying to spite the very same men they have been openly despising for the last decade, but they think that this is the ultimate own against them. It makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure to subscribe if you are new here. Make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.